And welcome back to Bioshock Infinite Part 11. Last time, we were traveling through the apocalypse known as, not even Rapture, but Columbia. Not gonna give that hint, been playing some Bioshock recently. But now, we're gonna go fight ghosts. There's nothing lame about that owl. And joined by my special guest, Thunder.
No, this part of the game is so dramatic, Texas wanted in on it.
Exactly. It looks like we have ghosts. I gave you a setup, Texas. God damn it.
And you're dead.
So you're gonna see this a lot. Elizabeth is just like, she's got injection needles out of nowhere. Snipers are kind of pain in the ass, so they'll wreck your shields. So you just creep.
What was that about Elizabeth?
Yes.
Everyone's doing it. Olivia, Elizabeth, whatever.
I'm helping.
Turnstiles are one way.
So here's the thank God moment. I was like, oh, look at that lightning, but sniper rifle? I can get rid of pug explosive bullshit? Yeah! Back in business. So I make a big mistake here. Earlier in the game, we went to a place called the Salty Oyster. I made fun of it because the name was really dumb. I'm about to go and find a voxophone that basically says, there's a treasure here, but I totally forget where it is, so I just forget it. So I'm saying that in advance so people are not like, you missed it. I know I did. Shut up.
Tisk tisk, Travis.
I already missed that one earlier that was after Fitzroy died, but fuck it.
I think someone in the thread already mentioned it anyway.
Oh, of course. So they'll know where it is. So really, Bronco 8's actually pretty good, but honestly, my favorite, Vigors, the lightning one is always a favorite.
I'll see what I can do.
With things like Storm, I just basically become a complete asshole. And I'll soon be getting another Vigor that I really like to use as well, but you'll be seeing that later. In fact, later in this video.
Brother, what Comstock failed to understand is that our contraption is a window.
A big part of this particular, like before we were talking about, like they could have cut this part out, there are things within this particular part that are key to how the story works. So although I don't necessarily like the part, there's a lot of information that's very important to the overall story and plot.
Yeah, specifically about the Luteces, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we actually go to Lutece's lab.
Mm-hmm.
The really ridiculous thing about the voxophones and the tapes in the original Bioshocks. Here's incredibly important information. This is only for me. This is my personal diary. Alright, left it in the library.
Maybe they're kind of heavy, so I mean, of course, how do you forget about them when they're that big?
This completely incriminating information, I'll just leave it here.
Honestly, I thought the audio logs were probably one of the things I liked the most about Bioshock. Beyond, I love the environment. The environment's fantastic. In fact, I'm thinking about playing the game at some point in recording formats. But what I was really impressed with was how the story is portrayed by these people's diaries.
She tried to throw that past you.
Hit me in the face, and now I'm like, okay, I feel good. I decided to listen to it again because every time I listen to a voxophone, someone interrupts. Usually it's Elizabeth.
Rude.
Imagine how loud this is, though, because I doubt headphones exist in this time, so just playing this "Oh my girl" thing out loud. Well, alright, so as they mentioned in that, as I was talking about it, why was there a pineapple in the cash register? Never mind. As it mentioned, there's something about their girl at the Salty Oyster, which, I was in there earlier when we heard that song.
You missed the treasure.
I feel like shit. The amazing thing is how memorable it was to that part, and I still forgot to go to it, so whatever. I'm also kind of curious about this pile of electric traps just sitting here in the corner. I think it's just, what the heck, hey. Thanks, Elizabeth, just run around the corner. Wait, how did you get over there? I literally saw you walk in front of me. So anyway, after walking around for a bit getting confused, went through the turnstile. I like this scene.
I'm gonna throw up.
I still think her apprehensive skipping is the weirdest thing. I know they're trying to do kind of a slow run pace, but they could have animated more physical movement types. Maybe next generation they'll figure that out. Or maybe this generation with The Last of Us.
Simple dual-dial lock. My book said most fools keep the combination no more than 20 feet away.
Let's hope we find
That's kind of stupid. Hope no one can figure out the combination left on the desk 10 feet away.
Need money? Take it.
Much obliged. This might be
That one coin is worth a lot, but
I see you stealing all that money. Well, I stole some already.
code break.
through time and space.
In a cage, they develop an interest in such things.
I suppose so.
She's all grown up and helping you steal.
Ow.
Whoa.
See, the interesting thing is when I played this game the first time, I didn't get stabbed, so I didn't have that wound. But I want to show you guys the wound, so.
Yeah, I didn't get stabbed the first time either, because I immediately... I'm just like, this is shifty. I'll pull my gun first.
One thing I always kind of question about this game physically, you know, with a character like Elizabeth, how old is she? Because she kind of has a very small physical frame. You know, I would assume maybe 16, 17. Your character's clearly probably in his 30s or 40s, most likely closer to 40.
She's tall enough, though, that I would have said like 18, 19.
Elizabeth.
I think it's the baby lamb eyes that make her look younger.
Yeah. And also her behavior during the first half of the game, or 3/4 of the game.
Elizabeth.
Oh,
Promise me.
I will stop him.
That is an oath you cannot keep. But promise me that if it comes to it, you will
Oh,
not
how cute. No,
let him
no.
take it back.
I'm not going to take off your necklace.
Won't come to that.
You've got massive hands.
I told you she is tiny. She is a tiny
Or she's got a
lady.
very small neck.
Or she's very tiny, which she is. Or maybe I'm just a gorilla. I am a handyman.
Booker's got the yaoi hands.
I love the yaoi hands.
It just zooms out the first time you see his face. He's just got a really, really tiny head on this giant body.
But still maintains like a 5.5 foot frame, but your hands are 3.5 feet long.
Senpai.
No, I feel like I'd have a tiny voice, but with that little tiny head.
With the huge hands.
Senpai, let me touch you.
Yeah, his voice only gets deep when he cups his hands around his mouth, his tiny mouth.
Also, I believe this area was designed very early in the game. Because there were many trailers showing how the combat style works, and this was one of the areas where it was shown. There wasn't all this lightning thunderstorm shit happening, but same thing.
I feel like this part definitely emphasized the skyhook rail.
To me, what it emphasizes is there are 1,000 ways you can do this, and there's no right way.
Yeah.
That one.
Sure thing.
Because they're all going to take forever.
Exactly. The rail. I mean, I do a little bit quicker this time than I did in the first time. The hardest thing about sometimes these parts is, like, if you're not used to battling on the rails, it can be a little bit tough. The rails are incredibly stable, though, so it's not hard to fight when you're on the rails. Except for there will be an enemy that shows up that makes it kind of hard. I don't know how Elizabeth can somehow highlight the areas of where enemies are, but sure.
Interdimensional things.
Personally, I do use the rails a lot in this part.
Yeah.
She puts a sticker in her cornea.
Look, I'm looking up, Booker. Here's a trap that no one will see.
You missed. Were you trying to throw it onto the...
I've been playing some other games where that was like a charging thing, but I forgot it turns into a trap. Trying to find the appropriate combination that I want here. Crows.
Always crows.
You'll always know this when I grab crows, because I know the enemy I'm going to fight. Because there's only one enemy it's really useful against, so every time I know he's in the level, you'll see me grab crows.
It's the handyman, right?
Yep.
Do it now.
Especially since last time I upgraded the length of how long the crows stay in place, this vigor has become a lot more useful. Also, oh, guy chasing me.
Firing rockets at you and going right through Elizabeth.
Through Elizabeth's face.
No, I'm a cable car. Just a few shot wounds, you know.
The side of her head's all shaved now.
One thing that guy did to make it a little bit easier is one of the rocket guys was chasing me on the Skyline, which means I just had to knock him off the Skyline to kill him. If you know anything about fighting the rocket people, they're a pain in the ass to kill.
They really are. This area wasn't so much difficult as it took forever.
The handyman makes it a little bit more difficult. Because he ruins your ability to basically just ride the rails permanently.
Oh yeah, because he can electrify the rails, can't he?
Yep. Which makes it tough in this area because there are areas where you can't jump off. Like right now, which is explained to me through this thing. This is where I can't jump off. I try to, but I'm just dying on the rail. Okay, there we go.
You just fling yourself off to death.
And she starts injecting me on the Skyline. Death doesn't really have a huge effect on this game. The only thing, if you notice when I die, is that I lose a little bit of my money. It's a certain percentage each time. And start back a little further in the map. But the people you have killed are usually still dead, so that's not a problem.
It's not too big a punishment.
No. Also, did you notice me get Heartbreaker on accident last time?
He followed in my footsteps, Travis.
I'm so proud.
This time I'm so bad.
And I did notice. Oh, I noticed. I noticed! Also, a trick you'll learn in this game, and you probably noticed me use it a number of times, when Elizabeth passes shit to you, you have invincibility frames. So you'll be shot by rockets and it doesn't matter.
I like how their heads just explode.
Clearly, you've never been electrocuted. Ow.
That's totally how it works, right?
Yeah.
It looks like you had the option to summon a butler.
Cold beverage, sir.
Cold-blooded murder, sir.
You seem like you need the health, sir.
Alfred Pennyworth karate chops the guy in the back of the head.
Mosquito.
Mosquitoes are kind of sucky.
Yeah, they don't look like mosquitoes.
Brilliant.
That's my biggest qualm with them.
As the artist side of it, this bothers me. Now, I know he's on the rails, so he's going to be coming back around, so I'm going to see if I can high-five him.
You're going the wrong way.
Roller coaster fight. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Oh, there's Elizabeth killing. Okay, that was pretty extreme. Ow. I have to give him props. That was pretty extreme. Tubular. I didn't know I was fighting a Ninja Turtle.
I saw that scene a lot when I was playing this part.
I did read this one theory that the goo in the vial that she's actually injecting you with is like Adam.
Oh, no.
No?
Because Adam comes from, at first, if it's designed to be kind of canon to timeline, Adam wasn't discovered until decades later, and it's from the bottom of the sea.
Well, neither was the Beastie Boys. Or girls just want to have fun.
Well, that was, yeah.
Found at the bottom of the sea.
Say, Elizabeth, could you bring some of that crazy goo shit here?
That was just a theory I read. Might be completely baseless. Probably is.
I imagine it's just futuristic recovery juice. I mean, it really doesn't matter.
Futuristic in the 20s.
Well, they got again time powers. They can pull things from the way future.
The way future. The way shit.
The thing is, if Adam was a part of this process, though, Adam was a tool used for genetic manipulation. Mm-hmm. So there would definitely be side effects if you started getting injected a lot with it. Well then, to the dollar bill.
She manipulates your genetics so that you never died.
I It makes you immortal for a split time. So how do you like
Oh, it's a decoy.
Yep. Decoys are fun. They look very creepy.
See, that's who I thought was like a butler. It's just this guy standing there proudly.
With your black soulless eyes.
Elizabeth.
It's the senpai distractor, if anything. They'll notice him and not me. With his massive hands. The handymen are the massive hand yai people. Tiny heads, massive hands.
I thought that's what you were referring to.
I was talking about Booker!
I'll show you what she means.
What did that thing do to you?
If you were to
So
do
now we're
nothing,
entering the map area that will be our
Mr. DeWitt,
adventure for the next 40 or so minutes.
Yep.
We're entering the haunted house section of the game.
The haunted dresses.
The haunted dresses. This area does have a lot of cool stuff. I cut out some of the unnecessary traveling because this part does require you to do a lot of backtracking and running in circles. Which I do, because I don't always know where I'm going. But this also has a lot of little nooks and crannies to explore. Hence me getting lost a lot. Also get a shit ton of lockpicks.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if this was... I don't know if this was like a part that was added after the game, or if it was like a part left over from one of the previous iterations of the game, because it was like redone 3 times or something.
I think what happened at this point of the game is that this is the first point in which we're refocused on the original narrative, outside of the 2 or 3 transfers of time. So the connection of it and getting it to all work, I'm sure, was rather difficult. I'm sure it was part of the original concepts, though. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to do a little bit of research, but it's one of the difficulties that I saw a mile away when we traveled through dimensions. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, anytime you add time travel or dimension hopping, it's just gonna get very convoluted very quickly.
Well, they almost without spoiling anything, they'll become questioned later.
I like how she started choking, therefore she ran straight into the fire.
Oh god, the smoke is rough. Fire better.
those pennants. Seems like the Vox have chosen their favorite color.
Goes down smooth.
Sounds about right.
I know you're all excited about the Vox, but I really want to buy some alcohol. Where'd you go? What way? She has a way of teleporting around. Again, just stop questioning that shit.
She can tear holes in time and space.
Well, not that well.
Shouldn't.
She's working on it.
She's
This is
getting
her
better.
practice.
She's improving.
It does sadden me that by this point in the game, from how it started, was like, look at the terrible things that are happening to these poor disillusioned people. 2 hours later, alright, go kill all of them.
Yeah.
To be fair, the only people left in this town are the assholes, really. Everyone else pretty much evacuated to I don't know where. And look! A great vigor.
I wish I'd gotten it earlier in the game.
This is the last vigor just because if it was done earlier in the game, it probably would have broken it.
Yeah, probably.
This is a fancy little hand destroyer, as you can see, known as Return to Cinder. Honestly, the first time I played this game, I didn't use it much. This second time, I went totally through it like I did this time. Was a big fan of it.
I don't know if that bit of body horror was the creepiest, or if the undertow one was.
I think just barnacles just gross people out.
I thought they were suction cups just growing out of your skin.
I'm an octopus hand.
Octobooker.
Octodad.
Octo DeWitt.
Booker, you look so different.
Octowit.
Ocelot. Brother! Okay.
Booker!
Booker! There's a lot of little battle areas over here. And all of them Vox, because Vox are assholes now. Oh god! Get out of my face, Elizabeth! So here we go with some Return to Cinder blocking. Doesn't work any kind of melee thing, but it pretty much becomes a magnet towards ammunition. At this point in the game, it does drain a lot of salts, though. So you want to use it sparingly.
Great.
My favorite combination is the one I currently have is Shock Jockey and Return to Cinder. I call it my sword and shield vigors.
Travis got a trophy.
Da-da-da-da. You'll notice also a lot of the bad guys are starting to wear heavier armor, so hence me mentioning at some point before, it would benefit you at this point in the game to upgrade more than 2 weapons, because you never know what you'll end up with. One big one I'd recommend with at the beginning of the game to level up is the shotgun.
Stop doing that.
Stop blocking!
Out my hand, out my hand, out my hand.
I did make the mistake of never grabbing any of the shield boosts or health boosts the first time I played this. Yeah. The thing I do is I play through it once to just get through the storyline, and then I play through it again to explore everything and get everything. So the first time I played it was...
I got distracted by the woman cleaning fire.
It's sad.
You can't clean the fire. Also, I was going to mention, as one comparison I'll make that makes Bioshock, the original, a little better than this game, and it's also kind of a plot hole of the game. The nature of vigors is kind of questionable in Bioshock Infinite. We don't know necessarily where they come from, but what's even worse than that is that you'll find rarely any inhabitants use it, despite the fact that at the beginning of the game, it looked like it was readily available to everyone. So, in the original Bioshock, you ran into splicers, the enemies, and you'd find them randomly have one of the powers that you have. So you'd have ones that would teleport, and you'd have ones that would shoot fire and things like that. So it felt like they were part of the world just as much as you were. This game, you ran into too many people with guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The enemies in Bioshock Infinite were a lot more varied and interesting.
I think they were better thought out.
It's abandoned.
And creepy.
Oh yeah, that game it has that horror element that this one doesn't have.
The opening of that, I played this game first before I played Bioshock, and when I went through the opening of Bioshock, I was like,
So when you've just got up into Rapture and that freaky part,
yeah.
you're like, eh.
We generally know where the vigors come from. It's just that doesn't explain how they exist in this world, though.
But I mean, even their explanation's a little bit kind of comparably to Bioshock, a little bit more half-assed.
Yeah.
I don't know why she tossed me a foot away from my face, but whatever. Continue.
There's also no Adam and Eve in Rapture in Columbia, so there's no genetic modification. So how do the vigors work?
The big, I mean, again, without just being vague at the point where we'll just see later in the game, is they're trying to run a lot of parallels to the original Bioshock, obviously. So you gotta have them, but you know, with a story and a world so thoroughly thought out, when there's little things like that, and you're just kind of like, well, you know, you put so much work in everything else, you could have thought of something.
Where did the Vox get all this red cloth?
It's blood.
And how did they drape it over all the buildings?
By bleeding it.
I believe they fired cannons of cloth. Explanation done.
Just all these devil horn guys going into Fabric Land. Yeah, we need 8,000 yards of red cloth.
That guy's just taking a good nap.
Ah, I'm so full.
The bullets.
So if you can tell, this area is huge. I've only been about half the map. Luckily, you have massive maps on the wall like Disneyland. Oh no, that poor family of racists. Eh. Oh, make a point to go into that particular building right there.
Yeah.
Not really story, but...
Search this corpse right here.
Yes, specific corpse right here. This is Fink's brother. The creator of basically all the music in this game. Also, listen to this song. I love this song. Everybody wants to rule the world.
Dear brother, these holes in the thin air continue to pay dividends. I know.
I love making money.
But if he has half the genius of the biologist, I now
I also like
observe,
the work on getting this building basically shoved on its side like that. More like this. See, maybe I got a little bit spoiled by Dark Souls a little bit here. I kind of want games to have consideration of where they put objects. You know, like, at this point, the more I'm paying attention to it, I'm like, wait a minute, why is there a pineapple inside of the register? This bothers me.
Someone wanted to trade instead of pay.
Well, just wait until Dark Souls 2. There's an area where you can kill spiders that drop Zweihanders.
You never know, they could use them. So this is where we're going. This is the entrance to Comstock House. Such a stupid sounding frat name. You do need to go here first, despite the fact that it's locked.
I love this door.
I am lying, Dad.
How lovely to see you. Wonderful of you to make the journey, especially considering your painful death 19 years ago.
This door is my favorite.
I'm glad you're not a zombie. Shut up.
Your fingerprints do not seem to be...
I like the voice in this door. I also like the voice of the small ships where it's just like, you got to go.
Mother's dead, Elizabeth.
Yes. I think it's time I paid my respects.
All right, we're gonna go to a graveyard to cut off a zombie lady's finger, and to the part of the game that even the game can't properly explain.
The worst part of the game.
Agreed.
Oh, I hated this part. It was my least favorite part. Well, yeah.
As we go through this, I'll explain why I didn't necessarily care for this part. I don't necessarily... Like, I made it sound a lot worse than the last video. But there's a number of reasons why I don't like this part. For one, and I'll just kind of break it down. For one, I was expecting more of a game of this type than to go this route.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll shut up at this point because we'll explain a little bit more why I didn't like this because obviously it hasn't happened yet. Two, and this is just wondering, why couldn't we do this before?
It's great.
Why couldn't I just summon locks on all the doors that are unopenable?
She's your mother.
A mother who abandons their child doesn't draw a lot of sympathy in my book.
This is also an area that suffers from...
There.
Are we still
The door
doing
can't
this?
go in without you.
You'll see.
It's a weird way to shove open the light gate. And... Hey, Lady Comstock.
Elizabeth.
It's her. How are you, Mother? All locked up in there, huh?
You can't touch me.
You and I
Can't touch me.
Let me do it.
No.
Let me do it.
Elizabeth has a lot of unexplained bitterness towards her mother. I mean, beyond those little things that are just like, this isn't my daughter. This is not my beautiful daughter.
Sorry, Elizabeth, I have a light.
You see, child, you chose to follow a false shepherd, and he
Oh,
has
hey.
led you astray.
You should have listened to the dude.
What I do,
It does sound a lot like the dude now that I listen to it.
I cringe to see their common pain.
I honestly think it's him.
Bear the rod, spoil the child. If you won't listen to me, perhaps you will listen to your mother.
This confuses me.
Boo! Alright, Velma, let's go fight a ghost.
Let's get the vacuum and
Where
go
did
from
she
there.
go?
Come on, you need to rest for
Mario!
I'm getting that hand.
Elizabeth. Why is your
But that was a
mother
ghost! Just go back to the body!
Not he used me to power that device. He opened up some kind of tear.
How?
So... I mean, the thump... I'll shut up because I'll talk about this at the end of the game. because I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't played this through, which probably some people haven't. Let's just say there's a little bit of a questionable part to this. So fighting the ghost is kind of tough. She moves very quickly, she takes a lot of hits, but the more difficult part is she can constantly summon these henchmen of hers.
Somehow.
She basically just summons the ability of corpses.
She can raise the dead. Somehow.
What is she?
The only hint I'll possibly give to this point, and the only thing I can really get from it, is that not only is her power...
Alive or dead?
Again, I'm going to try to be as vague as possible because I don't want to explain too much. Not only does it seem that her power is to pull things through, but also to create things.
You beat her much quicker than I beat her at this part.
Well, with a totally upgraded carbine, you're doing pretty well.
But this isn't the part where I began to hate her. No, you have to fight her again, so...
Actually, you have to fight her 2 more times.
Yeah, it's...
We're the happy flying ash cloth.
Welcome to the jungle, ain't no fun game. So Luteces are burying themselves.
Fun.
So at this point, we gotta follow ghost feet. Yeah.
The flying ghost left footprints.
Yeah.
This really is Scooby-Doo.
It's a shame you have need of her to enter
You just pull off the mask as Comstock.
There is a way to bring her to reason.
3 truths you must discover first.
Truths which... in
So
this
good. This turns into a
If only
basically a treasure hunting mission, which I never really bothered me when the path to where I need to go goes through those, but you have to backtrack through this part, which doesn't make it as fun. Also, those little feet that show you how to go around aren't always the most helpful feet in the world.
No, you don't understand. She doesn't.
No, they're not.
belong here.
I didn't mind it
I
as
brought
much
something.
because it did lead to story and
So sure.
backstory and more Luteces.
This part, you gain a lot of information. So the first place you need to go to is this photographer's
this
house.
open?
Throughout these areas, you're going to fight large groups of enemies, which I cut out just because how many times can you watch me fight people? And we're going to watch a lot of it later anyway.
Because that's what I meant when I said, are we still doing this?
There's more people! Fight more people!
That's a pretty good boot. Overkill boot. But tunnel vision I like because I do aim a lot. As you saw, it is a reduction in damage if I just shoot normally, but I do aim a lot, so whatever.
Doesn't it, son? This lie, this calumny.
The Vox sure do like red.
Life. From that day, no man truly called me comrade. There's only when I
What I found interesting about this part is that it kind of leaves you open to what to believe or to not. What it's basically Comstock is saying is that he was accused of being related to Native Americans, which caused a lot of friction amongst his friends and people, so he killed Indians to make up for that.
Looks simple enough.
That's kind of a sick thought process, but...
Well, he's clearly not in the most stable of mindsets.
Anyway, as I mentioned, this is the first area. This is the photography house, I should say. Yeah. This is actually the first area right here. This is the photography house. Last place I went was just an open area to get some more voxophones. Each new area is going to have these specific tears right here.
Yes, I'm making absolute hash of it.
So the big thing we learned from this, again, you can do this in any order you want. This is actually not supposed to be the first one you go to, but whatever. We learned from this particular tear is that in this world, the Luteces are dead. Both of them,
Feral.
which is kind of weird.
It's like she's a reflection. I don't know.
Feral.
Been dead these 7 days.
She didn't get lucky.
So we learned that the Luteces, I listened to it again because I missed some of it.
What proof would you have that Mr. Fink would hurt the Luteces?
The Lutece's told
And also you kind of learn from this that the Luteces mentioned that Comstock had them hurt.
Albert, they've been dead these 7
So
days.
why would Comstock want to kill the Luteces? All we know so far of the Luteces at this point of the game is that the girl Lutece basically created the ability for Columbia to float. So with her physics knowledge. So at this point, we're going to learn a little bit more about how this whole world works.
Honestly, if I were Comstock, I think I'd get sick of them too.
Just the constant riddles.
Their constant dry wit. You can tell this part's not too tough. But we're going to Lutece's lab, which was basically unenterable at first. Now we can actually go in there, of course. So, you know, those areas that get blocked off for no reason. Thanks their ghost feet, which are huge, by the way.
Have a look.
They were much smaller at the beginning.
Yeah, it became big as they go towards the door.
You just end up fighting a giant ghost.
There's a lot of little areas to explore around here, so I like looking around this lab.
Quite interesting. This was my favorite part of this little treasure hunt quest.
Yeah.
Because I just like the Luteces.
So look at this machine.
That is a machine.
Certainly is.
The Machine of Sauron.
That's my mother.
I assure you, madam, a sexual interest in my dear prophet is not...
So,
Madame Lutece.
Mrs. Comstock is accusing Lutece of actually having an affair with Comstock. And because of course we've learned that the child, in this case Elizabeth, is not Lady Comstock's. So,
Child that decided
She looks just like Rosalind.
yeah, they just, look at that. They're just so similar. So what this also tells is that the Luteces were behind these tears. So you can see they have a machine that can actually create tears. I mean, we really don't know. I mean, we know a little bit of what tears do. They seem to allow us to travel to different dimensions, but it's still not quite known exactly what they are. But through the knowledge of physics, they figured out a way to do it.
I'm not even sure I understand it myself.
They just sprinkle the word physics on it a few times.
Physics!
Lady Comstock seems to believe the child is a result of some errant act of carnality between myself
I love
and
how
her
that was other dimension tables.
The child is a product of our little contraption.
I love how she explains like sexual attraction in the most scientific way possible. Thought there was some kind of pheromonal attraction to my nether regions.
Comstock seems to have been made sterile by simple exposure to our contraption.
Ah.
A theory. Just as sexual reproduction can
You ate the cheese and the
traits of
knife.
each parent, so goes the effect of
I had to,
realities
you
on our
know,
own.
cut more room in my
Traits
mouth.
dissipate until they become unrecognizable.
We've learned in this part
Cease
that
to exist.
Comstock is actually infertile from, in this case, exposure to these machines. So, it's weird.
Not just because he's ancient.
For one, that means that... Let's look at some pictures here. Well then, that's a little bit... There's some very vague hints. But we learn from this point in the game is that, for one, we know that Lady Comstock is not Elizabeth's mother. But we also learn that Comstock can't have kids. So who the hell is Elizabeth? Also, it explains a little bit of the tension between Lady Comstock and the Luteces and Comstock himself.
Nice.
Because hell, if I made a machine and made someone fertile, I bet they'd be pissed.
Every time you drink the red stuff, I just envision cough medicine in my mind.
We are not
It's like a gallon's worth of red juice, so it would take all
We
day.
are scattered amongst the
Just
possibility
sit
space.
there for an hour drinking cough
But
syrup.
we're together.
So at this point, we also, again, I'm kind of getting out of order here, but we learn that the Luteces were kind of killed because Comstock had that machine we just saw sabotaged. From what we learned about the machines, at least, is that it allows people to travel and see through dimensions, so by destroying it, or at least wrecking it, it caused those two to travel into a dimension... I always said kind of the space in between dimensions. They exist, but they don't. Crazy physics nonsense. Okay. And we're going to go back to this wide area because this area is easy to miss, but we are going to the big bank over here. Which should have been the second part we went to. Hey, look, crows. Crows. Crows! And that's why the carbine rocks. Just unload. This area is a little bit tough. The bank is, at least, not this part.
Gun straight in your face, still looking.
Look harder! I love Storm so much.
I actually never used that, and now I severely regret it.
I had like 10 people rush at me. I used that lightning once. just for good measure. Well, all right, that was difficult.
That was a baller.
Ah, Two-Face. So the bank here it's the game's attempt to be spooky.
So spooky.
Spooky, spooky, spooky.
Just in time for Halloween.
See, look at it trying to be.
What the hell?
Oh my god! That actually made me jump.
She threw it straight up in the air.
Straight in my mouth. That guy was just trying to eat that banana in peace and died.
Look at all the Nickelodeons.
We're gonna look at all of them.
It's like Saturday morning.
You used to watch this stuff on Saturday morning? Here's a little bit of a history lesson for you guys. The city goes afloat. So, the reason Columbia was even made in the first place is they wanted to spread the ideology of America across the world, because what better way to do that than have a floating example of your greatness? But there's trouble in paradise. Basically, these people are so American that they're like, I can help by doing war crimes. Nah-ha-ha. Basically what happens is that the people of Colombia shoot a lot of Chinese citizens during the Boxer Rebellion. They thought it was helping America, and America's just like, that was kind of dickish, and they're like, fuck you!
We like our old man!
We like old man Santa Claus!
I mean, we're 1920s America, and we think that's messed up.
So then we learn that they seceded from the Union, and America just didn't give a shit, really. So this is even older than 1920s. This is the very earliest of the 20th century.
We left. That's it.
We didn't want you to stay.
There's a couple questions about Colombia. Oh, hey. I've always wondered, how do they grow food? Where do they get enough food to feed all these people? How do they get lumber and materials?
Tears.
Tears. I love how this is for everything. Tires.
Tires.
The odd thing is that the only people who really know about the benefit of tears are the Luteces, Comstock, and Fink. Are really the only people that know the applications. Hence Fink being the ruler of all industry here.
I hate this part so much.
Yep. A lot of people do.
Ugh.
Not at this point either, but later.
Travis, hold me. I'm having flashbacks.
But this also is a good looting area, so...
Oh, yes.
We're doing that.
Many goodies to be had.
I'm just missing with my Pikachu Thunder Shocks, but I don't care.
Booker here.
Thanks.
Just Booker calling out his attacks like an anime protagonist.
And he just yells his name as opposed to a Pokemon name, Booker the Whip! I still don't understand the uses of bats. I can't find anything while I'm fine, so I mean... God, Storm, it always makes me laugh. I say that like every single time I see it, but I don't care. It makes me giggle.
Next time I play this game, I'm definitely using it.
You can also upgrade your electricity to kind of do that on its own, but when it works with everything... Well, in this case, if you upgrade your shock jockey the old-fashioned way, it hits multiple people based on attack. What's nice about shock jockey, combined with things like storm, is you hit one guy, you shoot him, it hits 3 guys next to him, you shoot them, it shoots 3 guys next to them, and it just spreads. And it's stupid.
Gloriously stupid.
Gloriously stupid.
The darkened version of the pyramid scheme.
Yes. At this point, you're also running into a lot of money and a lot of lockpicks, so there's no excuses just to loot everything.
Money, money, money.
Of course, there'd be a lot of money in a bank, but...
Yeah, true. Travis, question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever use the oil puddles / water puddles at all?
Not in this playthrough, no. But I'll even kind of mention it. When you run into... It's kind of the same thing you had in Bioshock. Some of your abilities had environmental implications. So in original Bioshock, you could shoot your electricity into water and shock people in the water, which I did once in this game, I should say.
Yeah.
But in this game, you can also pull puddles in from tears and use it as ways to kill enemies. I just thought, as kind of clever set from that is, it just never really worked as a straightforward strategy. I mean, if it gets you to play the game kind of differently each time, it's worth doing the clever experimentation, but it's just as easy to summon a Patriot and...
Yeah. I guess it seemed much more in place in Bioshock, in the where it was falling apart and there was environmental factors everywhere, rather than, oh here, just pull this puddle out of a tear.
And that's always the problem with the dimensional thing, is, again, Bioshock had things there for a reason. This one sometimes it was just like, hey, tears.
Tears?
Eh? Should we bring tears?
There's another Vox cave in here, isn't there?
I don't remember.
I think there is. I think I recall there being.
Well, I don't get it, so don't bother.
Tisk, Travis.
At this point, you can't blame me, because I played this far into the game at the worst part of the game. I just wanted to leave.
Yeah. I don't expect you to get all 80.
I was just thinking, I'm gonna have to fight that ghost again later, god damn it.
Yeah, dread. Just constant dread.
Sniper. Sniper, no sniping. There we go. As I mentioned, just good area to loot. There's tons of stuff around here, which I think is a way of making up for later, because later in the game it is harder to find stuff.
Yeah.
Stupid crow dudes trolling like,
You can't catch me.
Follow me the same way. There's a lot of areas to look around here, and ooh, there's an outfit.
Left my pants in a wheelbarrow.
That creates gun ghosts.
What?
That is what it does. In fact, I equipped these. But I forgot to equip them, so I had to equip them the old-fashioned way. I never pull this menu up that often, so might as well show. Those are all my clothing things I can switch to on the fly, so there we go.
I now have ghost pants.
Defender of the ghosts.
Just Booker walking around with invisible pants.
The one. Whoa,
fuck?
wow! He flew in from the sky.
Elizabeth away!
I wanted to be a crow too.
I love this. He's like, I finally caught you. And he's gone. That was it.
What a threat.
All that stalking, and I killed him in 2 seconds. Oh, and you also learn at this part that the one who was pretty much responsible for the death of Lutece is Jeremiah Fink.
So he's an even bigger dick.
Well, the Comstock's still the big dick because he's the one who asked to do it, but Jeremiah was the one who basically has to pull the trigger.
Just to receive all their patents and...
That sounds like the businessman lingo. This is what we pretty much find out from this shit.
Lady Comstock produces no
Oh,
child. I have done
Zachary.
what a man can do, yet there is no child. I've asked Lutece about the matter, but even she refused to help.
I want a baby! No. She looks stone-faced right there.
It does look like her eyes are narrowed a lot more, like she's not as wide-eyed as she was at the beginning of the game.
She's getting progressively more pissed off.
Got a lock.
Yeah.
It's picking.
Both figuratively and literally.
There.
Wide-eyed.
Look, it's safe.
It's not safe anymore.
Wanna hold on to this?
You're going inside. I mean, obviously, the earlier version of Elizabeth was a lot cuter. This version is just a lot more kick-ass.
I couldn't trust you to take all of the money out of it, so I took some myself.
Go, Booker, you forgot some. I was looking in there. Oh, good.
She's helping.
I'm helping. So this is the area where you can get, if you don't really explore much, you can hear the ghost outside. We'll deal with her in a minute. Just want to look through the safe to find more stuff, but this part sucks, because I'm not in a hurry.
It really does. There she is.
More of this, except for there's more.
And her army of zombies.
So thank God a storm.
Yeah.
Guess you're at a henchman, huh? Stupid.
This makes this level so much easier, and I'm so stupid.
Oh, and by the way, this area makes also gun upgrade selection very frustrating, because you're going to run out of ammunition pretty quick killing all these henchmen. In fact, from this point on, ammunition just runs out way too quick. This is on normal difficulty. Imagine playing this on its hardest mode. Oh, by the way, the hardest mode isn't called, I think, called 1882 mode. The ridiculous nature of that particular mode is that, as I mentioned, for reviving purposes, you revive based on money. So you take a certain percentage of money to revive when you die. The game gets much harder in that harder mode, obviously, but at the same time, in this game, if you run out of money, you can still start over, because it's taking a percentage. If you run out of money in 1882 mode, game over. You have to start over.
Jesus.
Nope.
So when you die in a few shots and you don't have enough money to do it, plus you kept to... Basically, you're just not buying anything.
I think there's also no vending machines.
It's basically a roguelike light.
Yeah.
It's basically just about gathering as much money as you can and laming things out.
It's basically hell.
You know, a lot of people do love playing the games on the hardest difficulties. Depends on what you're trying to get out of the game, I guess.
In harder difficulties, you just turn the gun on yourself.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I just get too frustrated with the game, I can't do it.
In my experience, the people who have anger issues are the ones who like harder difficulty modes, which I never understood.
They like making themselves angry.
Exactly.
They enjoy anger.
I guess that's why I like to do it so much. Oh god, I'm so angry! This is great!
Did you find this one harder, or the next time you fight her?
I found this one harder.
Yeah. I guess it's because she has more henchmen in this one. So you're constantly having to deal with those ones.
You're gonna see me fighting the third one. I have a number of advantages. For one, you didn't have to go through this entire level fighting bad guys.
Yeah.
To get to the third one. We'll see when we get to it. This one's just a pain. So, I died. Let's go fight her again. Round 2.
Do we have to?
I gotta. The trick on these, if you just haven't noticed, is, for one, what makes this a lot easier is the return to sender vigor. Which, thank God, at this point, they gave you it, so you can... Basically, when everyone's firing you, I'm just like, just give me.
Maybe that's the reason they gave it to you so late in the game. For this specific bullshittery.
Well, there's also, you can get upgrades to where absorbing ammunition with Return to Cinder will actually put more ammunition in your pocket. So, so it works well later in the game because ammunition becomes a little bit harder to find.
Yeah.
So at this point, just wail on the ghost. Like that.
The sound design in this area is incredibly obnoxious.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like that ghosts still make that noise. Hypothetically, she's not really a ghost. It's dumber than that.
She's an anger harpy.
She is an anger harpy created by Elizabeth, by her viewpoint of her mother and her mother's viewpoint of Elizabeth from another dimension. Yes, I could not make that make any sense even if I tried to explain it. Even in this game, Elizabeth's like, I can't really explain this.
Just accept it. This is what happened.
Look, tears. I love what she says. She's just kind of sitting there with the shruggy arms. Tears.
Tears.
You know.
It takes way too long to get into Comstock House.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this. I consider this whole part getting into Comstock House.
So here's some advantages going to the third one, because we're going to have to fight her one more time, which it gets kind of groan-worthy. I cut the part out, but nice advantage at this point is you can go and buy ammunition and refill all your stuff. So I have full clips of both my sniper rifle and carbine. Another nice little advantage is that once she comes, you can actually summon a mosquito, which becomes the perfect magnet for all your henchmen. But first, do your voodoo dance to summon your mother.
I know you hate me for not being your daughter, and I hated you for not being my mother.
If it's any indication, we only have like 2 minutes left on the video, so I beat her in that time. And you'll see how. So there's the mosquito. Summon the mosquito.
I guess it kind of looks like a mosquito.
And then just unload hell on her. Just unload hell.
I guess that she doesn't stand still is what pisses me off the most.
And her Return to Cinder's giving me a lot of extra cover, and it's also giving me another weapon to hit her with.
Yeah, true.
She's giving me more salts here. Plus, I also upgraded my Return to Cinder so it lasts longer, too. Just unload. Just don't stop believing. Hold on to the night.
No bullets in your face.
Oh, hi.
And thank you. Perfect.
Does he have a lion on his head?
If not, he should. And she's done.
Comstock used me to bring
Well.
you back, but I brought back a version of you from the reality.
So
that
yeah,
built up in
I
my
made it look a little
own
bit easier
head.
than it usually is for most people.
He pretended to love you, like he pretended to love me.
I'd be sitting there going like circles around my head like, I know
I am
what?
his victim. My days of victimhood are
I
done.
created you out of your feelings about me that I created about feelings about you from another place.
You cry.
Eh.
Sounds like a Nino Cooney thing.
Eh? It actually looks like Oliver. You did it!
So, then why am I alive?
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
In this world.
Well, you had to shoot me, and I was like, out of here. I'm off the fence and fighting with a kung fu kid.
Why is it called the siren then if it's a ghost manifestation of feelings?
Because it screams and it makes sounds.
It would make more sense for it to be called a banshee then. Sirens sing, banshees scream.
It should have been called Banshee.
It's okay, Travis.
Oh no, I know. I'm not upset about it because it's the game's fault. And as her final act, she basically kills your favorite character, the Lock.
Oh, damn it!
I tried to help Lady Comstock.
No, that definitely looks like your hand.
So next time we're going to be entering Comstock House. We only got 2 parts left here, so onward and upward, literally.
I can't tell if I hate the ghost worse or the last part of Comstock House first.
I get what you mean, because the last part of Comstock House is not that fun. But I like the Comstock House, at least the story it tells, and it only gets better after the ending.
Yeah. And Well, I also hate it because I always run out of ammo.
Yeah, that's a big issue. Because because those stupid. Well, you know what? They did. You'll see. They actually, I think they did a patch and changed how those characters worked.
I also was a complete idiot and just barreled headfirst in with it. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, are you supposed to sneak through?
There's some points where you can't.
Yeah, I've never snuck anywhere.
You can do it. There's some parts where it's a little more possible. Sometimes you're just like, screw it.
I just go in guns blazing.
You're not going to enjoy playing Metal Gear Solid then.
I don't know which iteration of the game you played, but the first time I beat Bioshock, Infinite, I should say, and this is just kind of telling a little bit what happens in further. You run into these enemies that are like, they look like creepy zombie henchmen. In the original iteration, they were slow. They didn't necessarily have any weapons, and they'd walk towards you, but they were basically just big bullet cushions. They could just take so many shots before they died, so you'd run out of ammo. This looks like they had made a patch to where they actually acted more like people, so they actually had weapons, and they're a lot easier to kill. Which, to me, almost made me more upset, because I thought Comstock House is actually one of the scariest parts.
Yeah.
And also, it had by far the most Bioshock references.
It's definitely the creepiest area of the game.
Most frat houses are.
From this point on, it's probably the most interesting part of the game, but also probably the least fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
At this point on, it's going to be adding a lot to the discussion for the end. So again, to those who haven't played the game, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut, but the ending is the part people all talk about, so you'll see.
Oh, yes.
And also, I did leave a point in the last video to where we will talk about it.
You're in for some shit.
We in for some crazy shit. Thank God the Ghost Adventure is over.
God.
Ghost Adventure.
Ghosts that weren't really ghosts. Looking for clues. It really was Scooby-Doo.
Because we had to learn the mystery, and it wasn't a ghost. It was Lady Comstock all along.
The mystery with the machine.
You pull off the mask, it's feelings.
Thank you. Because, every single Scooby-Doo had a moment where they tried to get them in a trap that always fails. Because Freddy's a dumbass. I have an idea. Why don't we give Shaggy the cannon that shoots the net? But oh no, it hit Velma. Scooby-Doo was so dumb.
And so was this part.
Dumb.